started. Hello and welcome to the Crack to Kick-Ass Coach podcast. Today I have Graham Thompson. Hello, Graham. How are you
Hi,
today?
I'm well, Rebecca. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. So you're in Indonesia, which is
Yes,
fascinating.
it
And
is. Yeah,
but your business is based in Scotland.
yeah,
Just tell everybody what you do because I've not interviewed somebody from your organization, and I think people
right.
would be interested to hear who you
Yeah,
work with.
yeah. So I'm in Indonesia at the moment. It's a bit of a transitionary point. I do live full time in Scotland. So my main coaching is through Vistage, which is one of the largest peer groups, leadership peer groups in the world. And I have a number of groups. I got three groups. I've got a group of CEOs, business owners, MDs, and I have got a group of those who report into CEOs, MDs, and slightly smaller business owners as well. And then I do an emerging leaders program as well. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. I
Yeah.
absolutely enjoy it. I've been doing it for 5 years now. Actually, my CEO group will be five in April. Its fifth
Wow.
anniversary. Um,
Congratulations.
and I think my background before that is elite sport. So I think and team sport was my thing. So I think I enjoy the camaraderie of a group coming together. And the core offering of a Vistage group is the group days once a month, and then one-to-one coaching with myself once a month as well. So yeah, I've it's interesting coming from a world of sports coaching into coaching
Hmm.
in business. And I think one of the things was I was the last two sports I was in charge of as a performance director. I'd never played curling and water polo, so I didn't know the technicalities. So
Right.
I found it useful now because I've got all sorts of industries. I don't know about the technicalities of the industry, but I know about helping people
Hmm.
and developing their mindset, helping them through challenges, keeping them focused, remind them sometimes how good they are
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
regard. So, yeah, I don't need to know about the social housing context. I don't need to know about the ins and outs of a marketing agency, but
Yeah.
I just need to know about people, which is the same way I helped support athletes before. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually a little bit of a continuation for me. It's going on a journey with people. That's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
never a linear
Definitely.
journey. It's never ever. All the
No,
success you see is got some real bumps along the way.
definitely. I was explaining that to one of our coaches the other week because he said, "Oh, your training jumps around and like you repeat bits." And I said, "Yeah, because when you work with clients, it's not linear.
No.
Because when you work with clients, you will jump around, you will repeat bits, you have to go over ground you've already gone
Yeah.
over. Everything that you go over with them integrates into something else and links to something else. So no, it is definitely not linear, that's for sure. So you've been
No.
watching the GB curling team at the Olympics. They are
I
all
have.
Scottish, obviously, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have been. Yeah, but I mean, they're both got their challenges to get out the group stages right now as we talk. I want them both to do well, but I'd really love to see Team out. I can remember I was still the performance director. In those days, the teams would put their own teams together and come and ask for investment. And I can still remember being phoned. I can't remember whether it was Grant or Bruce phoned me. I was on my way. I can picture I was on my way to a wine tasting event in Glasgow, and
cool.
they phoned me of an evening and said, "Well, what do you think about this team?" And it was one of those where I went. Oh, that sounds quite good. And anyone who says, "Oh yeah, we saw that team coming together," is a liar. Nobody did. The boys put it together themselves, right? So I'm sure there's a few experts in hindsight, um, and they. I don't think people understand just how good they are. Obviously, the Olympics, I hope they get the gold medal and they came so
Yeah,
close last
me
time, but they've been leading their world rankings,
Yeah.
the number one for quite a while. But not just playing the best, actually developing the sport in terms of strategies and techniques. And people might say, oh, well, it's only curling. Yeah, but there's some big nations playing curling.
Yeah.
Canada is a dominant. So
China?
that's
Who knew China
China.
could play curling?
Exactly. The Asian countries have really taken up in the last 10, 15 years. So I'm really pleased that, a lot of sport was invented in UK,
Yeah.
but we're not necessarily at the top of it anymore. This is one where we are. And Yeah, I really, and I love it. I still keep associations with the sport. There was a Perth
Good.
Masters, that which is an annual tournament. I was up there 3, 4 weeks ago. I just spend the Saturday speaking to people that I used to work with, and
Yeah.
volunteers as well that I used to work alongside. So yeah, no, I will be. It's not in Indonesia. The time difference is a little bit challenging, but
Yeah.
if they're in that gold medal game, the men or the women, I'll be up to watch that for sure.
Good. Oh, quite right too. Good. And when you left Elite Sport, what what were you thinking in terms of your options and you're like, right, well now what do I do? What were your thoughts?
It's a really good question. You know what? I've just been on a call with the lady who gave me my into Vistage.
Okay.
So I went to a networking event, August, no, maybe July, August 2019, changing the chemistry,
Oh yeah.
West End of Edinburgh, Joy
Yeah.
Lewis. And I
Yeah.
happened to be speaking, sat beside her, and she just told me about Vistage. And she introduced me to what we're called as chairs, Vistage
Yeah.
chairs. So she introduced me to George Hall. And then I said, oh, this sounds quite interesting. So you go down to Southampton, the UK, and you have a mutual interview. They're looking at you and you're looking at them. And they said, well, would you like to move forward and go into our training academy? I said, yes. He said, well, will you go to San Diego? I said, well, that's quite good. I like the sound of that. However, I was due to go to San Diego in March 2020.
It's
And I was the first cohort who were online, and I was
right.
online live from Edinburgh rather than San Diego. So I did my training there. And there's two aspects to the training. There's the chairing, what
Mm.
you call the coaching, but then also the part that goes with it is the business development. Because at Vistage, I basically recruit all the members. There's
Yeah.
not a big brand awareness. There's not a big marketing, central marketing behind it.
Mhm.
Sometimes you get a referral, but generally it's your own work. And that
Yeah.
probably was the most challenging part for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what most coaches find when they come to us. They want us to provide clients.
Yeah.
And I say, you know, with the best will in the world, we've got people in the US, coast to coast, people across the UK, all different fields, all different backgrounds. We can't
Yeah.
possibly provide
No.
clients for you.
No. Yeah.
Um, but what we will do is teach you how to find your own clients
Yeah.
so that you can build a sustainable business and never rely on other people. So it's really interesting that even a big name like Vistage, they have the same model because it's, you know, it's impossible for them to find clients.
Yeah, I suppose the business model just has never worked that way. I mean, it started off in America
Yeah.
65 years ago with a local businessman saying, listen, we all, we've all in different businesses, but we all seem to have some common problems. So
Yeah.
let's sit down once a month and have a chat about it. So, yeah, I think my first idea, there's almost a sales training. And my idea of sales was like Arthur Daly type stuff. I I suppose my first concern was I've not sold anything. And it's like, well, I've not sold a product, but I've sold people into strategies and
Yeah.
programs and, encouraged athletes to join in. So I kind of started to understand that way. The way we were taught was a sort of numbers game. This was COVID time, so it was all LinkedIn and, top of the funnel and connections and all that. And then, yeah, I did some of that. I didn't enjoy that.
No,
Um,
no.
I don't I don't enjoy that. It's taken me a while to evolve how I go about it. The other thing is I hadn't lived in Scotland well, I'd been in Stirling
Hmm.
back for about 5 years in Scotland, been in England for a long time, but I had no business network. So that was quite a
Right.
hard starting. Where do I
Yeah.
start?
Yeah.
Um, but the thing was, when you do something like that, and it's quite interesting because in my cohort in the Vistage Academy, there's probably about seven, but only two of us ever launched. You have to be all in.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
You
do.
have to be all in. So I
Yeah.
didn't have really an alternative. I have some associate work which I've developed. I do some work around Hogan's accreditation and
Oh,
such
yeah.
like and so
Yeah.
on. But it was really this was my main thing. So I had to make it work. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because I had some really experienced leaders. I can remember one guy was he'd been CEO of, it might have been Martini or something like that, a really sustainable brand. And he would have been brilliant, but
Yeah.
he couldn't get his head around the business development. He said, well, I
No.
used to have two PAs and
Yeah.
and they would gatekeep me from people chasing me. Now it's
Yeah.
turned around and I've got to chase other. And And he was a very nice guy. He wasn't arrogant or ego,
No.
and it was also probably too easy just not just to move into consultancy and network rather
Yeah.
than,
Yeah. When you've got a big, what I call a big posh CV, it's really easy to get non-exec roles and consulting roles because you've got a free pass with your big posh CV,
Mhm.
basically. I've got a few posts coming out in the next few weeks about how when you're setting up as a business coach, you need to do business development. You can't just sit and wait for
No.
people to knock on your door because they're never going to knock on your door unless you're the former CEO of Coca-Cola. And it really
Yeah.
is that kind, unless you've got that massive job on your CV, nobody's coming to knock on your door.
No, no, and they might not even know you're available. You know, they might not know
No.
you've left Coca-Cola. You
Yeah,
know,
I know. Yeah.
so yeah, it's taken me quite a while to get my head around that. I mean,
Mm,
once you start a group, it's a lot easier because you're talking about lived experience with people,
yeah.
and then of course your members become the best form of
Yeah.
testimonial and referrals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got myself into a good place now, I'd say over the last 12 to 18 months. So my approach now is referrals.
Good.
I've got a few partner organizations who help me as well.
Good.
So I've got one CEO group. I'm looking to launch a second one in about next 6 months.
Right.
So I go on LinkedIn. I look at people who I think through posts speak to some of the values that I'm looking for, which is two, growth mindset, being
Yeah.
successful, but not relying upon that for the future, and also humble people. That's
Yeah.
what makes my group. That's what I've found. I look for that. I then also go and see if they maybe done some videos. It'd be great if people had, if they've done a video like this because you really get to learn about them.
Yeah.
And then I check out with any of my members or partner organizations, do you know them that you could introduce me? And the other way that I developed is I send them a handwritten letter
Nice. Nice.
because there's a few reasons. One, I think it best represents who I am and what I'm offering, which is a very um, I'm going to use the word intimate. I don't mean it
Yeah.
in other sense, but just
Yeah.
a peer group is quite intimate. It's a very strong relationship. It's not a transaction. There's a transaction, a financial transaction in the back of it. It's about the relationship.
Yeah.
So a letter to me is the best way to introduce who I am and the nature of the potential relationship. I highlight the things that I've seen that I think they could make a good member, and I just ask them if they could spend some time online. And listen, you still get more no's than you do
Yeah.
yeses, but
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than 500 people at the top of a funnel on LinkedIn, and yeah, all that. So I use LinkedIn as almost like yeah, talent spotting.
Yeah. It's a research tool.
It's a
Yeah.
research tool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a very
Yeah.
good research tool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I love that handwritten letter because it's unusual. People
Yeah.
aren't doing that. So
Yeah.
you already stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
It demonstrates you've taken time, care, and energy, and you've put thought into it, which again just is so lacking in many of today's business interactions. So I really like that. And the least, a CEO can do is give you 20 minutes of their time on the phone if you've written them
Mhm.
a letter. And I think that's great advice to any of the coaches out there that are listening or watching. It is that, you spending that time, that investment will pay dividends. You
Yeah.
probably get more calls. You probably
Yeah.
get more conversions as well, Graham, if we were to measure it.
I think so, yeah. And I
Yeah,
keep a wee bit of stats. It's the early days in terms of sample sizes, but
yeah,
I think I put out 18 months ago, I put out about 10. I
uh-huh.
got one member out of it, which is good, and that
Good,
person's been with me coming up for a year now. And because
great.
Vistage membership is, listen, I know one guy who's been in Vistage for 20 years, Andy Lothian of Insights. That's just his
Yeah,
way. I think the
yeah.
average tenure is about 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
So, a letter to then get a 3 or 4 year membership and that type of
Yeah,
relationship is a good return. So
yeah.
I think for that first batch, I recall 2 out of 10 didn't reply or couldn't get through to
Okay,
them.
okay.
1 out of 10 joined. One
Yeah,
other would have joined, but then moved into a role. It
okay.
subsequently wasn't. And then the other six at least said to me, listen, great to receive a letter. Thank you so much. It's not for me. But as we know, a quick no is far better than a
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no one certainly took offense
No.
in terms of a letter. Um,
No. No, you can't take offense at that. And if you do, then you're definitely not suited to your group.
Correct. That is the other acid test in that regard. The only downside of doing a letter is I was writing it, and and I was using the word camaraderie, and I couldn't spell it, and it's about two-thirds of the way down the letter, and I misspelt it, and I thought, I just put open brackets, sorry, cannot spell, scored it out and wrote it proper. I thought, well, you might as well learn now that I can't spell, and it's authentic, it's.
I
And then
love that.
I put it's the old Basildon Bond, and you put
Love
the
it.
put the line underneath. It's like when you're told you're gonna have to write those birthday thank yous. And
Yeah.
the bit that I remembered is I always use because it goes over the more than one pages. PTO at the bottom. Please
Yeah.
turn over.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's gorgeous. That is a brilliant hit rate. 1 out of 10. That's a great hit rate.
Well, if you think about, the return on investment, as I
Yes.
say, Vistage membership is not something, it's a premium brand and people are going
Yeah.
to stay for 3 or 4 years. Um, and actually, the other thing that worked for me was it gave me permission to myself
Hmm.
to pursue people for an answer. No,
Yeah.
not stalk them, don't get me wrong, but because I'd taken the time to
Yeah.
research them and write a letter. So it gave me permission to say, listen, actually, I will phone them up. Sometimes you're
Yeah.
lucky, they put their mobile number on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Often you are just phoning a company number, but it was certainly in that first batch, people took, someone said, oh, I'll ask if they're available, and I got put through. Would never got
Great.
put through if I hadn't done a letter.
No.
So it gave me permission. Because sometimes, I mean, that's the part, I don't want to annoy people, don't want to, you know, um, but I'm more comfortable with it because I'm a little bit of, I've taken the time, so
Yeah.
I deserve a little bit. And ultimately, as you
Yeah.
say, some people don't. I don't pursue them to the ends of the earth,
No.
but then you learn and say, well, actually, okay, maybe what I saw was not the right thing. But the other thing is, the other part is you never know what's going on for somebody.
No, you
So I
don't.
never take offense that somebody
No.
doesn't reply because you never ever know
100%.
what's going on for them.
100%.
So
Yeah.
and actually now I look forward to doing business development. I kind of like, right, let's go on to LinkedIn, see who we can
Yeah.
find.
Yeah.
Love it if I can find a video of somebody and actually, yeah, wait a minute, and that's I can reference it. And it makes it enjoyable because that's the
Yeah.
bit that, as you've talked about already, coaches struggle with. They want
Yeah,
to
they
just
do.
coach.
Yeah.
Um, and
They
I'm
really
I'm
do.
not a great believer in, I must get myself a website. I've had a few coaches recently start, I've got to get my website. I'm like,
No.
well, I'm not sure if you do. Maybe as a sort
No.
of professional mark, I tend to use my LinkedIn as like a website.
LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn. Yeah. Don't
Just
I'm forever I told some coaches yesterday, they're going, oh, I'm going to revamp the website. I'm like, why are you bothering? And they said, oh, we've had no inquiries through the website. I went, you won't. You
you've
know,
got to drive traffic to it, and
yeah, nobody's ever going to find your website. You have to drive traffic to it. And even when you've driven traffic to it, you have to productize it and have a high converting landing page and a gift and a this and a that. And it's not, you can't just have a website. Oh my God, until I'm blue in the face, I'm telling people. But LinkedIn, just maximize your LinkedIn page. It's
that's it.
all you need to do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I probably don't maximize it, but I've got enough there that if somebody got a letter from me, they could probably find me.
Yeah.
And have a look and say, well, okay, that's interesting or that's not
Yeah.
interesting. That's fine by me. I
Yeah.
actually think your biggest business development cost should be cups of coffee.
I, I totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. You just go and meet people and talk to people. All my business comes from going to meet people and talking to people. That is it. And asking them questions about their business.
And I absolutely think in any industry, even heavy engineering, where there's big products, people still buy from people.
Yeah,
Well, in our industry, you're buying a person.
That's it.
You know,
That's
and
all
your
you're buying.
program can look wonderful. Your 6 week program can look wonderful, but
Yeah.
it's people will buy people. So
Yeah.
I'm in the fortunate position now where probably created momentum where I've got a referral network. I've got people who, say, yeah, that's no problem, Graham. Happy to do an introduction. Um, and also the part for me is, with Vistage, it's a big decision, commitment, whether it be
Yeah.
finance or time. So I
Yeah.
do say to people, I don't need an answer from you straight away now. That my longest business development relationship, again, I was with her yesterday and laughing about it. I always use her as an example. 5 years from when I first met Mel, and
Yeah.
then she joined because it just wasn't the right time, whether the
Yeah.
role she was in or whatever. Now, I don't want them all to be 5 years, don't get me wrong, but this is a big decision. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, okay, I know it's the right thing for me, but I need to. Now, you need to
Yeah.
work out whether that's sometimes a reason or an excuse, but you just need to keep up to date with people and
You
touch
do.
base and I'm sure you'll have had a number of clients who you did some great work with comes to an end and then you keep base with 2, 3 years
Yeah.
later, it's the right time for them, or maybe they want somebody else in the organization to benefit from the coaching. So
Yeah.
you need to maintain relationships all the time. And actually, as
Yeah.
coaches, we should enjoy that. I
Yeah.
enjoy it now. I,
Yeah.
I'm
I
I'm
love it.
curious. I just emailed somebody today. I'm launching a new emerging leaders in June. It was a member in my key group, and he came out the key group. He'd had a great time, and they wanted to invest in the next level, hence
Okay.
the emerging leaders. But I haven't seen him for over a year. And
Yeah.
I said, listen, aside from emerging leaders, let's catch up for a cup of coffee because I'm
Yeah.
genuinely interested to see where's it gone, what's happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes even when you're working with someone on one-to-ones and you got monthly one-to-ones, it's like that sort of EastEnders moment, like, okay, so this is the action you're going to take, and you can have that conversation with that, and you're going to go to the board with this, and you're a bit like, the drama's been set up for next month's installment. What happens?
So
I need
true.
I need to know.
It's so true. My first question when I meet my coachees after a month is, okay, what's changed? And you get, oh yeah, we bought a business, we hired this, we bought this plant and machinery, we moved, and I'm like, okay, right, none of that was on the plan, but hey, let's work with that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
So
great. It's
yeah, it
it's the
is.
journey part. It's the
Yeah, it
journey,
is.
it's incredibly privileged.
Yeah, it is very privileged.
It's
Yeah.
and yeah, that's the biggest part that means something to me. And I think um and you're unique, you can be a unique outlet, and that including with
Mm.
not just work, but family and friends.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
your partner doesn't want to hear yet again about the problems with the board.
No,
So you
no.
don't, but then you need somewhere and also sometimes some of the things we do, it's very profound effect, but it's pretty simple.
Yeah, yeah,
Listening,
yeah.
you know. So I haven't looked back since when I came out of
Good.
elite sport, and certainly for me, Vistage is a long term for me. I see her
Yeah,
doing this, um, and also the other fact, I've still got two of my original founding members from 5 years who are with me,
brilliant.
two great ladies, Liz and Lise, but another member who left. I still see, well, I see quite a few of them regularly. One in particular, I was with, went to the football the other day. He
All
actually
right,
kindly stepped in when I was away
all right.
in Indonesia. I was away for, a couple of meetings. So he stepped in as a past member because there
Very
was a
good.
sort of, he wanted to care for the group, but, he still knew a lot of
Yeah,
the group and still cared. So we have reunion dinners as well. We've started them in the last year. So,
nice.
there's just, even though you're not a member, there's still a point where there's a togetherness or a relationship,
Yeah, yeah,
but which has got a business source, but actually gets a bit wider into life as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I love that. Graham, listen, thank you so much for your time today. I've only got one question. If you thought you only had a year left on this planet, how would you live the next year differently? Or would you live it exactly the same way?
Well, uh, but given the change that's gone on in the last year with
Mm.
spending some time in Indonesia, and yeah, Where I am right now, I wouldn't change it. Um,
Yeah,
because I'm really embarking on a new journey with my partner and bringing her grandson over to live in Scotland. So no,
yeah.
I wouldn't change it, and I'd be a bit upset with you because it's a new journey. I want as much time as possible, so I want an extension.
You've got the extension for a very long and happy, healthy life. And I wish you all the best with
Thank you.
bringing the wee boy across. Yeah, it is a
Yes.
big adventure and it'll
Yeah.
be the best
Yeah.
adventure you've ever had.
Yeah. The delay might not be too bad because you'll go from 32 degrees to maybe 10 rather than 2 if you
Yeah,
brought them. So that's maybe
it's
a good thing.
frozen this morning in
Yes.
Edinburgh. Yeah, our
Yeah.
pond's frozen, the ground's frozen. But it's a
Yeah.
beautiful day. Finally, we've got clear blue sky today.
Yeah. Well,
Finally.
I need to go and put the air conditioning on because it's getting a bit hot in the room.
Right, all right then. Right. Bye, Graham. Thank you.